He didn't just stand up there and give little discourses, and neither do I. Well, it's about time. You still have to confess that meth, confess that meth, confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth, confess that meth. COVID-19 is a curse. Oh, I'm so sick. Oh, God, I'm so sick. I bet I got COVID. Oh, God, I'm so sick. Well, it's about time. COVID-19 has had it. Glory to God, I don't have it. I don't have it. I never will have it. Will have it. And I don't mind telling you, I'll never be sick again. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. The devil hates it when believers get money. Most especially preachers. I did it. Yeah, I did it. Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. In the middle of all this, I will continue to receive a bunch of money. Just wait till Inside Edition finds out I have a Gulf Stream fund. I did it. Yes, I did. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. I'll be your daddy. No wonder there was so much power released. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth.
You don't hear them talking about COVID. To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. Testing is a double-edged sword. They test and they test. People don't know what's going on. We got this, they got this. You do testing, you're gonna find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down. You know what? We got another one over here. The young man's 10 years old. He's got the sniffles. That's a case. That's a case. Thank you, China. Send us the play. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. Despite the fact that I've done a phenomenal job. He lied. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. There was only one person that died. I ran for politics once, then I became president. You're so lucky I'm president. There's a limit to what we can achieve. I stand before you today to declare, come flu, the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. If I lose an election over that, you know what? This country's in big trouble. Big trouble.
Just open your mouth and let it say whatever it wants to say. Ora dele, namakute, temanese, goropo umala la jegle disto. La goropo atilo masama. Ora dele, namakute, temanese, goropo umala la jegle disto. La goropo atilo masama. Oh, nakene, hey, oh, wala hanana. Bakala the jegle. I just pray that Ești cum vă stac, zaci că Rucha niște pula asta Mora dele, namakute, temanese, goropo umala la jegle disto. La goropo atilo masama. Mora dele, namakute, temanese. Goropo umala la jegle disto. La goropo atilo masama.
morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike, Drake, Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
Hey, everybody. I don't even want to explain why that's funny, because hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great Tuesday evening, Tuesday the 15th. Wednesday? Oh, yeah, it's Wednesday. Wednesday the 15th. Well, that explains why it's the 15th and why I find that odd. Hey, everybody. Hey, Matt, how was your week?
My week was good. I made it up to Orlando for a day, got to hang out with the future vice president of America.
Oh, and really? Who's that?
You happened to be there as well. So
I did happen to be there.
Yeah.
That was ideal. I also got to meet me.
That's true.
So we'll talk more. Yeah, we had
so many people who want to know why that was your nickname this week.
Why Drake? Oh, they're not going to let go of the Drake thing. Okay, good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. So fine. I'll deconstruct it every week. Welcome to our new viewers, by the way. We're getting more new followers every week, so thank you for tuning in. So every week, Matt gives me a nickname of a rapper, but like changing their name so it's Jewish. So like Juicy, Little Juicy Vert,
Jutang
Clan,
Dr. Dreidel. So this week was just Drake. We're both tired, by the way. This is going to be a punchy episode because we're both exhausted. I couldn't make that one any more Jewish than he already is.
Right, so that was good. So this episode's just going to get better and better because we're both exhausted. We're exhausted. So this is going to be a really good episode. I'm really excited because I'm super informative when I haven't slept at all. You're going to get some impressive rants from me because I'm going to lose consciousness occasionally.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of good stuff happening on this episode.
Good stuff. So first and foremost,
allow me to thank Kasey Nethter Campbell for the Kava that I am drinking on today's episode.
And allow me,
For anybody that wants to know more about Kava, I'm thinking about making a video on how to make it and where to get it from. If you want to see that while Spike is off getting his water from either Le Bleu or from Kroger, if you want to see that video, sound off in the comments, and I will make that video on how to make it appropriately so you get the best tasting, best quality Kava there is. And who would you like to thank, Spike?
And allow me to thank Kroger for this delicious, purified drinking water that I totally had waiting for me there, as I always do. Bulavanaka. I saw something over there. So
there was a bug.
There was a bug I had to kill.
There was a bug over there.
Let's see. This episode is brought to you by the Libertarian Dad Bod Calendar, featuring the sexiest libertarian men plus me ever. And it's only $12 shipped, or for $30 you can get it signed by me and shipped. LibertarianDadBod.com. This episode is also brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, fastest growing caucus in the party, I think still. It was for a while anyway. If you want buttons, you can get buttons. Just go to the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus Facebook group and say that you want buttons. Just post there that you want buttons. This episode is also brought to you by Black Coffee, spelled BLVCK. Nothing matters anymore at all. And in fact, not only does it not matter, but if you go to Black Brews, BLVCKBREWS.com, and use checkout code MW for free shipping, you get free shipping. You put in MW. This episode is also brought This episode is also brought to you by the Jorgensen Cohen campaign, Jorgensen Cohen 2020. I need to switch that out because we have a new logo now. That was just the placeholder logo, but I did like this logo. But this is, in fact, this isn't our logo anymore. This isn't our logo anymore. This episode is also brought to you by Henry McMaster, who is a bitch. He's the governor of South Carolina, and he's also a bitch. Also, this episode is brought to you by tomorrow's very special episode of my show, My Fellow Americans, where I will be having that says the wrong word, but I'll be having a discussion with Chris Taylor Brown, the lead singer of Trapped, lead vocalist, says there, of Trapped. We will be having a discussion, not what that says, but a discussion, in fact, about nationalism and healthcare and economic. Well, I don't think healthcare, economic nationalism and trade and immigration and Donald Trump and libertarianism and all of the other things that you would expect in a discussion with Trapped.
I have a huge favor to ask you for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a friendly gesture toward Christopher Taylor Brown, don't ask him how his new album is doing. Just don't ask him.
So now we're going to start with our brand new segment, the Black Coffee Cold Brewed Caffeinated Rapid Fire segment, brought to you by Black Organic Coffee. But you can go to blackbrews.com, blvckbrews.com. Use that MW code, MW for Muddied Waters. You get free shipping.
Not surprisingly, your graphic was so much better than mine.
That's why I changed it like that.
I figured.
The Rapid Fire segment.
Rapid.
So, speaking of... So, we're going to lead off with our lead. Like, this is the big story of the week.
This is the big story.
We're just going to start right now. Donald Trump made huge headlines this week by wearing a mask to Walter Reed Medical Center.
That's right. That was the lead story of the week for many, many, many news networks. So we decided to follow suit and let you know that Donald Trump wore a mask.
This is the lead.
Yeah, that's the lead. That was the lead on so many different sites. So we felt we needed to do it.
This is what happened this week.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, again, thanks for tuning in tonight. And where we're going, no, we do have the rest of the show, but that was what everyone talked about this week.
That was the big neuse this week. That was
big news this week.
Blew up my social media, and that is what the people on all of the lamestream media, what they were all talking about was Donald Trump broke down and wore a mask to Walter Reed Hospital, Medical Center, whatever it's called, Walter Reed, and he, that was it, because that's the really important thing that happened this week, apparently. Also, something else that he did that also went across many of the social medias, he commuted the sentence of Nixon's dirty trickster, Mr. Roger Stone.
Oh, wow.
Week. Yeah.
So there's a thing that he actually did.
There's a thing he actually did besides wearing a mask to a hospital. He stated that Roger Stone was charged by the same prosecutors from the Mueller investigation tasked with finding evidence of collusion with Russia because no such evidence exists. However, they could not charge him for any collusion-related crime. Instead, they charged him for his conduct during their investigation. The simple fact is that if the special counsel had not been pursuing an absolutely baseless investigation, Mr. Stone would not be facing time in prison, which is 100% true.
So he is still he didn't pardon him, so he is still found guilty of his crime, but he doesn't have to spend any more additional time in jail.
The 40 months that he was going to have to spend in jail have been commuted, and he is probably back home in Miami.
So this is, I mean, I'm not necessarily a Roger Stone fan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm certainly not a Trump fan. But here's someone.
I met Roger Stone a couple of years ago because he actually ran for a very brief stint for the Libertarian nomination for Senate here in Florida. So I had a chance to meet him.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, not even a little bit. I had a chance to meet him at a convention. If you had to guess how tall Roger Stone is. We'll do it easy. Is he shorter than us? Or taller than us, either one by a wide margin?
I'm guessing shorter.
By a wide margin. Because Spike and I know it looks like we're the exact same height. We are.
We are basically the same height, yeah.
We're basically the exact same height. Max Meeks is saying 5'5". That's actually pretty close. That guy, I was looking down at him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't 5'5" then. 5'5" would be like around here. Like their eyes are around here.
Right.
So if his head's here.
Well, I mean, I was looking down to it was.
Now I have to look up his height. I have to look up Roger Stone's height.
Yeah, he is not a tall man.
This says he's 5'11".
He is not 5'11".
Were you wearing stilettos possibly?
Well, no, this is even before I had Doc Martens, so I didn't even have the extra inch.
Okay, yeah, he's claiming the internet is claiming that he's 5'11".
He is not 5'11".
Yeah,
that is a dirty.
Do you think this knows what my height is? Hold on, Spike Cohen height. Nope. Okay, I'll get there soon.
It was gonna say 6'1", and I was gonna be like, oh, well, they exaggerate by about 4 inches for everybody. Okay.
Or 2. So anyway, so not that I'm counting or anything. So I mean, he was found guilty of obstructing an investigation that resulted in no conviction, which is, I mean, that would be like if someone came to your house and said, "We're investigating something." And I'm like, "Well, they didn't do it, so get the hell off my property." And I got arrested for that. And they didn't get any trouble because they didn't find anything actionable. Or the court decided it wasn't actionable. Because, I mean, you could argue that they found something actionable, but the Senate just voted not to do it because they're Republicans and had no reason to. But regardless, he got in trouble for it and Trump didn't.
So he... Well, no, I mean, the Mueller report said that there was nothing actionable. That had nothing to do with the Republicans. Because that was the Ukraine thing that the Republicans shot down, not the Russian thing. And he was being investigated.
Oh, yeah. This had nothing to do with that.
Right. No, this had nothing to do with, this had to do with the Mueller report. And when they were interviewing him on the Mueller report, he lied about a meeting he had with WikiLeaks, and he told one of his aides to back up the lie. So he got perjury and witness tampering, which he wouldn't have been charged with had they not been investigating the crime that the Mueller report says didn't happen. So
he's out now.
But he did lie, but he's not going to spend any time with it.
Okay, well,
long and short of that one.
Worse things have happened. Speaking of other things that have had worse things happen than it, Trump and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos have threatened to cut federal funding from schools who don't fully reopen this fall.
That's right. Donald Trump tweeted, because, that's what he does.
He does
in Germany, in Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and many other countries, schools are open with no problems. The Dems think it would be bad for them politically if U.S. schools open before the November election, but it is important for the children and families. May cut off funding if not open.
I mean, don't threaten me with a good time.
Right, exactly. Nobody who's a fan of smaller government is rooting against this. Because the less money that schools take from federal funds, the more we get schools that we all kind of want.
Historically, the better they are, because
right.
The more money the federal government has spent on education over the last 50 years, the lower the literacy rate has been. So
that's true.
Do not threaten us with a good time, because we will accept it. So he went even further on Friday, blasting online learning. Trump, it's almost like Mad Libs at this point. Donald Trump blasts random noun.
Pick adjective and noun. Online learning.
Today, online learning, he said, now that we have witnessed it on a large-scale basis and firsthand, virtual learning has proven to be terrible compared to in-school or on-campus learning. Not even close. Schools must be open in the fall. If not open, why would the federal government get funding? It won't. 3 exclamation points.
Now, we here at Muddied Waters would be very remiss if we didn't bring up something from Trump's past, and that would be one of his many failed businesses, Trump University, which was all online.
So he's right. It would be terrible. Do you think that's what this is? He's like, oh no, not another Trump University, and doesn't realize that there can be good online schooling?
He's just upset that he didn't come up with high school online learning brought to you by Trump, and all of the schools would have had to buy it. So he's like, no, if mine failed, they all fail. If my online university didn't work, neither does their high school.
Now, I know what you're all thinking. Thank God. Hopefully Donald Trump said nothing else about schooling and education this week. And yet, no, he definitely continued saying things.
He just kept going.
He threatened the tax-exempt status of and funding for universities and colleges, claiming that too many schools are driven by quote-unquote radical left indoctrinations, Matt.
I'm going to say that there are a lot of things that he says that I agree with. I think that most universities and colleges are driven by radical left indoctrination. I agree with that sentiment. I truly do. I don't think that schools should get tax-free status anyway. Which, gonna spoil that one because that's what we're getting to here. A lot of what he's doing, he's not doing for the reasons that I like, but the fact that he's doing them, I kind of hope some of them go through. But during his 4th of July speech at Mount Rushmore National Memorial in South Dakota, Trump railed against the schools that teaching kids to hate our country by teaching them far left fascism that demands absolute allegiance.
Far left fascism.
Yeah. So in yet another Twitter tirade that we've all come to know and love, he gives us endless show notes by stating, too many universities and school systems are about radical left indoctrination, not education. Therefore, I am telling the Treasury Department to re-examine their tax-exempt status and or funding, which will be taken away if this propaganda or act against public policy continues. Our children must be educated, not indoctrinated.
Now, most universities are filed as 501(c)(3)s.
C3s. 501(c)(3)s.
And they're also...
that means that they're a tax exempt. That means that they're tax exempt nonprofits. So all of the money that the government gives them that they are loaning to students is tax-free for them.
So it would fall on the IRS to conduct reviews that Trump is threatening on Twitter. And of course, federal law prohibits the IRS from targeting groups for regulatory scrutiny based on their ideological beliefs.
Correct.
So that's actually not going to happen.
No.
What he just said is going to happen is, in fact, I know you may be surprised, but once again, this thing that Donald Trump said on Twitter is going to happen. It's actually not. It's not. And if it did, it would be worse than what Obama did when his IRS targeted the Tea Party groups and the right-wing groups. It would be them deciding if schools were allowed to get funding based on their perception of their political bent. There's no way that could end poorly. There's no way at all that could end poorly.
No way. I mean, the easiest way to get government money out of schools is, instead of revoking their tax-free status, is to stop giving out government loans.
Stop giving out government loans and stop nationalizing the student loan system and let the equilibrium of the market happen. Colleges and universities are able to charge ever expanding tuition rates because they can get loans for it that are underwritten by the federal government. So why wouldn't they? If it were left to what the students could afford, they'd eventually reach a point where they go, uh-oh, we're not getting students signing up because they can't afford our school. I guess we better lower our prices so we can have enough, students in seats or online for us to be able to actually make enough money to pay for our operations, much less any additional money we want, whether it's profit or just putting away for future spending or development or whatever. They'd have to actually do that. If you went to a chicken sandwich store and you could get a federal chicken sandwich loan, they could charge you $500 for that sandwich because you're not paying for it in that moment. You're paying for it over the next 50 years. But because there are no federal chicken sandwich insurance or federal chicken sandwich loans, they have to keep the price of the sandwich competitive, knowing that you could go to another place and get a chicken sandwich. So that's the problem. Oh, and it also allows them to go off on these ideological bents because, again, they don't have to not do that because they know they're going to fill up their seats anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That is the absolute best way to stop giving colleges the amount of money. But I don't think any president has the guts to do that. Not even the swamp king of the swamp people. Is that what you called him?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm later on that what I called Donald Trump in my now famous speech at the Libertarian Convention. But yes, I did call him the king of the swamp people. I know someone who would do it. Joe Jorgensen. Ignore this logo. This is the old logo. But imagine an even better logo than this. Joe Jorgensen will end the federal underwriting and nationalization of the student loan system, put it back in the market, and remove a lot of the requirements for schooling in the first place. I mean, the idea that you have to spend 4 years in school to do something like, braid hair or cut hair or do makeup, like there's no reason for that.
Florida did a great job.
Yes.
Florida did a great job last week getting rid of many of those restrictions for people.
Yep, so last week we talked about that. Yep.
Yeah. Credit to DeSantis and everybody who worked on that bill in Florida, because there was some really good stuff in that bill. Because if you wanted to be an interior designer or decorator, I don't remember which one right now.
Oh yeah.
6 years of schooling.
6 years.
Or 6 years of schooling and then 2 years of internship, or 4 years of schooling and 2 years of internship?
I think it was 4 years of schooling and 2 years of internship. 6 years of not being able to professionally be an interior decorator.
That's right. To not be able to say that couch would look good there.
What on earth are you learning for 6 years other than you should have done something else? What are you learning? So, speaking of people from Florida getting credit for things, now it's time for our next segment, the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment. Brought to you by personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, chrisreynoldslaw.com. Matt?
This is the fabulous time of every week where our wonderful listeners can leave us messages throughout the week at anchor.fm/muddiedwaters. And we will play them live on the air and answer questions.
So we actually have two this week.
We have two this week,
and I will play the first one from Christopher Dutton.
Hello, Spike. My name is Chris Dutton, and I would like to know the libertarian position, as well as your and Joe's position, on open and concealed carry laws on the federal level. Do you believe that they should be up to the state, or that should be guaranteed on the federal level? Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Oh, do you want to take that first?
Well, so what's odd is that what? Okay,
that's odd.
So,
I'm just saying what's odd.
So what's odd is it was a gun control case in the Supreme Court that kind of started chipping away at the 10th Amendment, and I believe it was Presser versus Illinois, but don't quote me on that. But it was one of the first times that a state made a law that restricted one of, like, this is 1800s, but the state made a law that restricted one of the constitutional rights, and it got overturned by the Supreme Court. Therefore, the Supreme Court was saying, even if you're a state, the 10th Amendment doesn't apply to these laws, to these amendments. Like, you still have to follow federal guidelines. So based on what the Supreme Court says, yes, it is federal. And whenever federal does something wrong, then they've really screwed up, because they're the ones that made that law.
Yeah, so exactly. And so both the Jorgensen-Cohen and the libertarian position on open and concealed carry is that it should be protected at the federal level, in that it's none of the federal government's or any other government's business, and it specifically says that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which means by anyone, which means all gun laws are an infringement, including restrictions and requirements for registration and licensing.
Right.
So I hope that cleared that up.
Real quick, Ryan Roberts just left in the comments, my life is being taken over by libertarian podcasts. So you're welcome. And he says, Tom Woods, Dave Smith, Matt Kibbe, Muddied Waters, Eric July.
Oh, speaking of Matt Kibbe, I got interviewed by Matt Kibbe this week, and that was fantastic. So if you go to my my page, Spike Cohen, you can watch we put the link to the interviews on there, on my Facebook page and on my Twitter. And if you go Matt Kibbe, Spike Cohen, you'll see that too. They actually have a playlist of clips of different things I said, and then on Facebook they have the whole 40-minute interview.
So was that for Kibbe on Liberty, or was that for We the People?
Yes, they put it on both.
Oh, did they?
They put on Kibbe on Liberty and Free the People, because it was so good.
Nice.
It was so good. He actually said that I nailed it, and I don't think he says that to everyone. Maybe he does. Maybe every interview he does, he's like, you just nailed it. But
he doesn't.
Okay, well.
I know people who have been interviewed by him, and he does not give kind words to everybody. Yeah, I've met every person that Ryan had listed there. I know. I've met every single
No, I know
one.
you have. Tom Woods, Eric July, the whole thing.
Eric July,
Dave Smith, all of them. So, yeah, so I hope that clears that up. All gun laws are an infringement. Joe Jorgensen will fire everyone in the ATF and refuse to hire anyone else. She will decline to enforce any federal gun laws. We will put pressure on Congress to repeal all the gun laws on the books, and she will be of the opinion through the Department of Justice that any gun law at the state or local level is a violation of the rights of the people. So I hope that clears that up. We'll be pretty clear on that. So now we have our last question from Jorge Mendoza, baby libertarian.
Thank you, VP Cohen and Muddy Water Media, for producing a platform that has abundantly educated me in a way that has broken chains that enslaved me to partisan talking points. You have enlightened me, and you fuel a passion in me to see everyone experience a liberated life. I applaud your willingness to hear my questions and answer them in a simple manner. I also appreciate the gentle attitude you use in explaining hot-button issues. Because I don't feel attacked, I can actually hear you for what you are trying to communicate without planning a defense or counterattack. I see your genuine care for people, and the world needs more of that. Thank you.
That's very nice.
That is very nice. Jorge Mendoza. Jorge Mendoza. Thank you very, very much for saying that. Usually we get people who ask us weird questions about soccer. Or
it's true. We get a lot of obscure questions from the namesake of this segment.
So thanks.
So that was much nicer. Maybe, hey, Chris, if you're listening, maybe next time you could say that we're nice and you like us, instead of like, hey, Matt, what do you think about Eurozone Germany?
Who do you think
17?
is going to win?
Who do you think is going to win between?
Who's going to win this little-known soccer
Jorgenheim FC and the Croatian Blue Devils?
I'm going to have to go with Jorgenheim. Yeah, because the Croatian Blue Devils, their striker just got injured, and their goalie broke his left thumb, which is very important for being a goalie.
You wouldn't think it is, but it is.
It is. It's very important because he's lefty, so he leads.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jorge, speaking of the Jorgenheim FC...
seriously, Jorge, thank you.
Thank you, Jorge.
That means a lot.
That does mean a lot. It means a lot. And speaking of the Jorgenheim FC, Trump recently said that he plans to unveil an immigration measure that he said would include some protections for DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival programs that provides for work permits and other protections for people brought to the U.S. as children illegally by undocumented parents. And this comes literally weeks after the Supreme Court shot down his attempt to end the program, Matt.
That is 100% accurate. Around the same time that, sorry, I'm out of Kava. I had to get some more. Figured you were going to keep going.
I definitely was not.
Around the same time that he was bragging about his cognitive tests and how he was passing all of them while Sleepy Joe was failing all of them, he said, we're working on the legal complexities right now, but I'm going to be signing a very major immigration bill as an executive order. I'm going to read that again because he was just bragging about his cognitive tests, signing a very major immigration bill as an executive order.
Hey, wait a second.
Right. Which the Supreme Court now, because of the DACA decision, has given me the power to do that. This man is taking the L from the Supreme Court and saying, well, because I have this L, I can write executive orders for anything.
Which is kind of the opposite of what they said.
Except since DACA was an executive order.
Oh, so he's saying, hey, since you're upholding executive orders, I just do whatever the hell I want.
Right. Since DACA was an executive order and they said he couldn't use his executive order to overturn an executive order, he sees it as the free pen stroke. And he says,
I'm certain it's not that's not how they're gonna.
Oh,
well, maybe they will. I don't know. You know what? Maybe they will.
Who knows?
Who knows anymore?
Absolutely knows.
We live in the age of the murder hornets, and no one knows what's happening anymore.
But it's a very important immigration bill as an executive order.
I like that part.
That's
so on whether the provision would give Dreamers protected by the MART program legal status in the U.S., Trump said, they're going to be part of a much bigger bill on immigration. It's going to be a very big bill, a very good bill, and merit-based bill, and it will include DACA, and I think people are going to be very happy. That none of that is actually a statement at all. There's nothing in there.
But he also said that it would give them a road to citizenship.
Oh,
he did.
Yeah, he also said it would give them a road to citizenship. So anyone, I remember the people saying he's going to end DACA and he's going to kick all those illegal kids out of here. Instead, he's using an executive order to give them a path them to citizenship.
Right. And you know what? Like, I am not against giving these people a path to citizenship.
No.
No,
I have no problem at all. Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Most of the people, not all of the people, a good portion of the people that watch this show also don't have a problem with them getting a path to citizenship.
Right.
However, not everybody was as happy with this announcement as people who don't care if they get citizenship were.
No.
Or were excited about the fact that they were getting citizenship were.
No, in fact, no, not everyone was happy about this announcement. In fact, the Zodiac killer, whose father, in fact, killed JFK, tweeted out, there is zero constitutional authority for a president to create a road to citizenship, quote unquote, by executive fiat. It was unconstitutional when Obama issued executive amnesty, and it would be a huge mistake if Trump tries to illegally expand amnesty, and I will still support him 100% because I am a giant tool. Hashtag tell the swamp no. Hashtag rule of law. Hashtag this changes absolutely nothing because I'm a Donald Trump toady. I had no problem with him lying about my entire family and slandering my wife and father because I'm a prick and no one likes me. And I probably killed people in the 60s and 70s, even though that doesn't line up chronologically with my actual life. Pretty long hashtag there.
Yeah, it's the only one. That's the only one of those hashtags.
Yeah.
If you find it, there's one.
There's just the one, yeah.
Yeah. Now the Judd Deere, who is the White House spokesperson, clarified Friday that any executive order would not include amnesty. He said, as the president announced today, he is working on an executive order to establish a merit-based immigration system to further protect U.S. workers. Furthermore, the president has long said he is willing to work with Congress on a negotiated legislative solution to DACA, one that could include citizenship, along with strong border security and permanent merit-based reforms. This does not include amnesty.
Literally all of this first part is amnesty.
No.
Negotiated legislative solution to DACA, one that could include citizenship along with strong border security and permanent merit-based citizenship for people that are here illegally. Again, we are not against this at all. We are open borders libertarians. We just don't like lying. Like, it is amnesty. Just call it that, because it is. You know, Reagan at least was willing to call it amnesty. It is literally amnesty for millions of Americans, which, again, no problem whatsoever. So, as we've said many times, the libertarian solution to immigration is to go back to what the founders intended. If you want to come here, welcome. If you want to have someone come and host and hire and house them on your property, they're good. Do it.
Yep. Do
It's
it.
none of the government's business what you do. It is none of the government's business if you come here, if you go somewhere else, if you travel across the various states and cities. It's none of their business if you leave the country, if you enter the country, if you work with each other. It's none of their business. And in order to try to enforce that as their business, it creates a massive police and surveillance state that still really doesn't stop anything from happening. It just makes it harder. And in doing so, makes it so that more and more, the harder they make it, the more likely the people coming in illegally are just bad actors with enough money to bribe Border Patrol agents or pay coyotes to get them in or whatever. So you're just keeping out good people in favor of bad people. So that's why Joe Jorgensen and I are in favor of completely open immigration. So speaking of Joe Jorgensen,
I cannot believe, man. Sorry, I cannot believe we just did all of the notes in under an hour.
not just under an hour, we did it in like 45 minutes.
That is impressive.
We're also both exhausted.
We're both exhausted. I was exhausted when I wrote these notes 2 days ago, and I'm exhausted now. But
So I think we are just like, yeah. Next thing. So speaking of next thing, from Wednesday till Sunday, actually I left Tuesday, so it was Wednesday through Monday, I was at the Libertarian Party National Convention, and my friend Matt here joined me on Saturday for some of the day, so that was very nice. But we got to do a lot of things. One of the things I did was deliver my official in-person acceptance speech. For those who watched me get nominated live on Zoom and YouTube, my acceptance speech was basically me saying that I didn't have an acceptance speech, and I would give the yield of my time to Joe. So this time I gave an actual speech. So here it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Tthank you. Thank you.
Check out that tie.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, the lighting's terrible in
Folks,
this
thank
video.
you so
Sorry.
much. I have to admit, I didn't write a speech. I just wanted to come up here and speak from the heart. Folks, thank you all. To those who are here in person and to those attending online, thank you for being a part of the 2020 Libertarian National Convention. I know that I speak for my running mate when I say that we are both honored to be running as your candidates for president and vice president. And what an important time to be running. Folks, look at what we are facing right now. We are facing the worst pandemic that this country has ever faced because the federal government refused to allow allow medical professionals to test and treat patients for COVID-19 for the first several weeks that the disease was here. And as a result of that, we are facing unprecedented lockdowns across the country where small businesses are deemed non-essential and shut down indefinitely. Big businesses are given trillion-dollar bailouts, and the rest of us were given $1,200 and told to stay in our houses until further notice, and if any of us refused to comply, we would be arrested and put in jail, where we'd be almost certain to get COVID-19. For our safety, almost certain to get it, for our safety. We are facing protests across this country in response to police brutality and disproportionate use of force against the most marginalized among us as a result of unaccountable militarized police state that has incentivized bad policing, punished good policing, and driven an ever-growing rift between the police and the public that they are supposed to serve. We are facing ever skyrocketing costs for the things that we need to survive and thrive: healthcare, housing, food, higher education. We are facing a gap between those who have and those who have not that is growing at a frightening pace. And we are seeing Americans across the political spectrum showing record levels of distrust for this government. And what does this government do in response to that distrust? Why, they put up the two worst candidates in recent memory. Donald Trump, a lifelong crony who has leveraged the power of government to harm people and destroy their lives for his own direct profit, a man who said that he would drain the swamp only to become the king of the swamp creatures, and Joe Biden. I know. I know, that's literally who they put up. And Joe Biden, a man who is one of the architects, who has been one of the architects of the military industrial complex, the militarized police state, the war on drugs, and every other bad government policy for the past 60 years when he hasn't been busy sniffing children. We are facing the logical conclusion of the Republicans and Democrats having control of every lever of power in government for over 160 years and using it to take the power from us and give it to themselves and their well-heeled billionaire cronies at our direct expense. And who is the alternative that we have given to this? Dr. Joe Jorgensen. That's right. That's right. That's right. Joe Jorgensen, a brilliant, self-made entrepreneur, a woman who is ready to lead from day one, an accomplished orator who is able to break down point by point and case by case how the Republicans and Democrats have put us in the mess we're in and how our common sense libertarian solutions are the way out of that mess. Solutions, thank you. Solutions that come not just from Joe and me in the White House, but from all of our amazing down-ballot candidates across the ticket. And that's why Joe and I are working directly with the state and local affiliates and with the candidates themselves to promote this entire Libertarian Party slate in all across the country, unlike ever before. The American people demand change. And I don't have to tell you that when we get on that debate stage, the American people will see that Joe and I, the Libertarian Party, and our movement are the change that we all need. And that's where you come in. You, the grassroots army of liberty, fighting for a world set free in our time, are the lifeblood of this campaign. You are the ones going and knocking on doors and organizing your community and making phone calls and getting petitions signed, waking your community up to the libertarian message of self-ownership, of non-aggression, of peace and freedom, and winning converts over to our side. When we end the wars overseas, bring the troops home, and allow the healing to begin, it will be because of you. When we end the war on drugs and free its victims from their cages, it will be because of you. When we get the government out of healthcare and allow the costs to go down and the access to true affordable care to go up, it will be because of you. When we end the militarized police state and allow the rift between the police and the public to finally begin to heal, when we end the Fed and the IRS and remove the barriers.
That was a popular one.
And remove the barriers and burdens that government has put in place.
And the IRS.
And the IRS. And the IRS. And the IRS. And the IRS. And remove all of the government's barriers and burdens so that we can thrive and prosper. When we end the ATF and the National Firearms Act so that you can defend yourselves and your loved ones and your communities in the way that you see fit. When we end the crisis on the border and set those families free from those camps. When we end the duopoly's gravy train and kick the cronies out of DC. When we take the power out of the hands of the Republicans and the Democrats and their cronies and put it back in your hands where it always would belong. When we pave the way for all of us to live freer and safer and happier lives, it will be because of each and every one of you and the work that you do every single day. Right now, I want you to know that all of you are the foundation upon which the movement for human liberty is built and the very engine that drives it. You are the power. Now let's go win this thing.
They put the hat in the wrong podium.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I was supposed to be like, now let's go win this thing. And instead I'm like,
Yeah, I was watching it and I said, they either put it in the wrong podium or they just kind of slid it there throughout.
no, they put it in the other, and
possible.
And it's possible that they told me it was in that podium. But I searched my podium. So then later the following day, on Saturday morning, I got to do a panel that I've been promoting on Muddy Waters for quite some time. The Gun Owners of America Presents Is the Second Amendment Really for Everyone, featuring some of the most prominent and up-and-coming people in the gun rights movement, including Hank Strange, Maj Touré, Devin, he just goes by Devin, Rhonda Marie, Alicia Garcia, and Edgar Entillon. And that's all of them right there. And that's me too on the right, looking at my phone, because that's cool. Why was I looking at my phone? Anyway, so so it was a really good conversation, and just a great time had by everyone, and it was very, very insightful. We ended up that it has been posted so people can watch it. That if you go through the Muddy Waters timeline, you will find where we posted it, and it was really, really good. And
we also have the audio on our.
Oh yeah, and on Anchor. If you just want to listen to it, if you go to anchor.fm/Muddy Waters, it is there on our podcast.
It's great. It's episode 72 of My Fellow Americans.
Episode 72 of My Fellow Americans is the Second Amendment really for everyone. And spoiler alert, yes.
Yeah. And I don't want to give away too many spoilers on that conversation, but Hank Strange, fantastic guy. Met him there. Just fantastic. Just great guy. Great guy. Fantastic. But he had a quote that was so good, I never wanted to forget it. So I put it into my notes that I never actually look at, so that way I can go back every once in a while and read them. And he says, guns are a gateway drug to freedom. And that was the best quote I heard all weekend.
That was a good quote. And that was, I mean, the fact that was the best one is not because there weren't other good quotes. That was an hour and a half of just nothing but fire.
Nothing but fire. Maj Touré was
all of them. Maj
was on another level that I've never really seen him on.
Yeah, Maj was killing it, and he kept apologizing for some of the stuff he was saying, and I'm like, this is the Libertarian Party. We're 100% okay with the stuff you're saying. He was talking about, as he called it, shooting government people, and he shared his fear that gun control wasn't going to end until someone got shot in the face, and we were all like, yeah.
Sounds right.
Sounds about right. We're libertarians. That's not cringy here.
Edgar
Antillon. Yeah.
I don't know any of their last names, and I just said all of the names that I do know. But Edgar was great. The guy that Devin, I think you said his name.
Yeah,
was?
I don't know if he goes with his last name. I just remembered he introduced himself as Devin.
Okay. Yeah, he was good. He had some really good points, and he and Maj and he and Edgar had a couple of back and forths that I was like, all right, I can get into it. Like this is a discussion it was both factual and like educational, and you had two differing opinions on certain aspects of this, and it was exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Rhonda Marie was great. She did a lot of bashing of conservatives, which was hilarious because she's actually a conservative, but she was going hard on them. And Alicia Garcia had some great insight on guns and gun rights, and of course Hank Strange did as well. It was a great panel. Major props to Antonia Okafor Cover for putting all that together. Thank you so much to the Libertarian Party, to the Gun Owners of America. It was a fantastic panel. It was such a good panel that Larry Sharpe came to watch it and watch the whole thing.
Yes, he did. He was sitting right in front of me.
He was sitting right in front of Matt.
He was.
And he watched it. That's how good it was. So
there was Matt Hicks,
mm-hmm.
me,
mm-hmm.
and super fan Sarah Anderegg, all right in a row, completely not social distancing.
Yes.
And then everybody else was social distancing, staying at the appropriate distance.
At the appropriate distance, including Larry Sharpe.
Who was about 6 feet in front of me.
Yep. So it went well, and so now we have quite a busy time in front of us this week. It's starting tomorrow with my not that word. It's a discussion, Future Freedom discussion featuring me and Chris Taylor Brown, the lead vocalist of Trapped. We're doing that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Muddy Waters Media, and then on Sunday I'm flying to Chicago. I'll be there for a few days. I'm doing a ton of interviews. I'm going to be at a meet and greet in Peoria. So I'm going to play in Peoria. I really like saying that. And I'll be in Springfield, Illinois. I'll be kind of all through Illinois, actually, for a few days there. I'm going to be doing a tour of Chicago, the failed big government statist city, and going and talking about all the problems facing Chicago and the common sense libertarian solutions that will solve them. And then I will be on Thursday, I'll be flying to Ohio for the Libertarian Party of Ohio convention, where I will be the keynote speaker on Saturday. Yeah. And then in between all that, on Tuesday, tune in right here for another episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom, where Matt Wright and I will parse through the week's events like the little summer children, breezy summer children that we are. And then on Wednesday, I don't know if I might skip it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't you gonna be on the road?
I'm gonna be on the road. I might skip my next episode because I'm tired just thinking about it. I'll probably end up doing it, but yeah, no, you're right.
But we're doing it. So we're doing a show Tuesday. I wasn't sure because I knew you were going to be in
Chicago. Illinois. Yeah, we're going to do a show on Tuesday.
Okay. That works for me.
I'm going to be really high energy too because I will have been doing stuff for all day.
You're either going to be... So for anybody who just started watching us, there was an episode... God, year and a half ago. Well, how long have you been doing this with me? 2 years now?
2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half ago where Spike made a drink with cacao in it. And he did not know that cacao is highly caffeinated.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought it just tasted good.
Yeah, and it does. And he was super high energy in that episode.
I was pretty high strung, and I didn't know why, and it was kind of scary.
I knew why because he said, "Have you had cacao?" And I went, "Uh-oh."
I'm like, "Hey, man, I don't know why I feel like this, but you know what's really good? Cacao, because I just had a bunch of it."
I just so much of it.
That was me. That was Josh Smith was on that episode, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that was the Josh Smith episode.
Yeah, and I was wired, so I may have to drink more cacao.
That was the first time you and I had somebody on as a guest.
Yes. Yep, first time, and I think also the last time.
Actually, I think Josh Smith has done it twice.
So because no one else after seeing that was like, yeah, no, we don't want to be interviewed by him because he's nuts, and it wasn't. I was on cacao. I was on a lot of caffeine, but so Matt. If
Spike.
people are trying to find us on the internet, how would they do that?
Well, if somebody wanted to just listen to our sweet, sultry, buttery, smooth, dulcet voices,
Buttery tones.
buttery tones,
Buttery tones.
buttery tones,
My tone is buttery.
quite dulcet. You can find us at anchor.fm/muddied waters, and you can also find us on pretty much any of your favorite podcasting platforms. But while you're at anchor.fm, you can leave us messages that we will play live on our episodes and answer your questions, listen to your comments, and be just heartwarmed from people like Jorge Mendoza.
Yeah, that was really nice. Thank you, Jorge. And we love questions. We love when you compliment us. We love when you bash us. We love when you ask us obscure sports questions that we know nothing. We have no answer for them.
That's right. But we truly love it if while you're at anchor.fm/muddied waters, you hit the old donate button and you give us a little bit of money every month so we can continue giving you this high quality entertainment that you have come to know and love. And then you can find this and every other episode at muddywatersmedia.com.
muddywatersmedia.com taking over. Well, folks, thanks you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.
He didn't just stand up there and give little discourses, and neither do I. Well, it's about time. You still have to confess that meth, confess that meth, confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth, confess that meth. COVID-19 is a curse. I'm so sick. Oh, God, I'm so sick. I bet I got COVID. Oh, God, I'm so sick. Well, it's about time. COVID-19 has had it. Glory to God, I don't have it. I don't have it. I never will have it. Will have it. And I don't mind telling you, I'll never be sick again. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. The devil hates it when believers get money. Most especially preachers. I did it. Yeah, I did it. Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. In the middle of all this, I will continue to receive a bunch of money. Just wait till Inside Edition finds out I have a Gulfstream fund. I did it. Yes, I did. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. I'll be your daddy. No wonder there was so much power released. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth. Confess that meth. Get up. You still have to confess that meth. Confess that meth.
You don't hear them talking about COVID. To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. Testing is a double-edged sword. They test and they test. People don't know what's going on. We got this, they got this. You do testing, you're gonna find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down. You know what? We got another one over here. The young man's 10 years old. He's got the sniffles. That's a case. That's a case. Thank you, China. Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. Despite the fact that I have done a phenomenal job. He lied. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. There was only one person that died. I ran for politics once, but I became president. You are so lucky I'm president. There's a limit to what we can achieve. I stand before you today to declare, come flu, the Chinese virus. Come flu, the Chinese virus. Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Calling it come flu, the Chinese virus. If I lose an election over that, you know what? This country's in big trouble. Big trouble.
Just open your mouth and let it say whatever it wants to say. Morga dedi, namakute, temanese, goropo umalala jegle distro. Nakorob ati lumasa mahata. Morga dedi, namakute, temanese, goropo umalala jegle distro. Nakorob ati lumasa mahata. Oh, nakane, hey, oh, malahana. Bakana ba shigler, I just pray that. Ești nou cum la văstac, zaci că Rucha niște tu la cărpăști Morga de namakute, temanese Goropo umalala jegle distro Nakorob ati lumasa mahata Morga de namakute, temanese Goropo umalala jegle distro Nakorob ati lumasa mahata